everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon, and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. This has been a crazy year. Over the last year, I've woken up, and I think that's probably the best way to say it. The veil has been taken off my eyes, whatever it is, the blindfold. I think I've always been partially awake because I wasn't completely ignorant to some of these things. But what I'm about to tell you, I have come, and actually, let me just state up front before I say anything else. This is for entertainment purposes only. This is my opinion. Take that for what you will. I've come to my own personal conclusion that our world is nothing like I thought it was. The place we live in some ways, and I know for some this may sound crazy. I believe that our world, everything in the Bible is true. And that's a crazy thing to say. And in some ways, what I was going to say is crazy. I was talking to my daughter about this. You really have to hand it to Satan in a way. I mean, he has done a spectacular job. The the blindness that this world is under, what he's been able to do just right in front of our face, it's crazy. Even, I was thinking about this recently when I like the reality that when I was that I lived as a little girl compared to now, and this isn't just, well, now I'm a woman or I'm older, I went through some trauma, so my life is different. It's not that. It's I think a lot of people can identify with this. I think the state of our world, there's no more family the way that there used to be. I feel like I'm scrambling to keep my family together. Like I'm always scrambling to keep my family together. And it was always like that. I think it was like that even when I was still with my ex. Holidays were always trying to get people together, and nobody wanted to do this. And then when people were together, I used to always notice that it would be 2 hours. Everybody would be at someone's house for 2 hours and then they'd immediately leave. There was no closeness. It wasn't a joy. Unlike, and I didn't even have a happy childhood. Unlike when I was a little girl, I can remember going over to, if it was the greatest joy at the holiday, would be able to spend time on my mother's side of the family, because that was a rarity. My father did not like my mother's side of the family, and so we rarely got to spend time with them. But she had a lot of brothers and sisters, so there was family there. There was cousins, and I craved that. I wanted that so bad. I grew up north of Boston, heavy Italian, Irish Catholic. Everybody had a ton of kids, a ton of family. I did not. I didn't have grandparents. It was just this lonely existence. And so to be able to go to my mother's side of the family was such a treat. And I just loved it. And just the joy, the anticipation, counting down. Even to this day, I don't even think my kids know this because they don't know family like I did growing up, as crazy as that sounds. But we used to go over. We'd had Christmas Eve at my my uncle at my aunt and uncle's house, and they always did appetizers and appetizer spread. So that is what I to this day still do on Christmas Eve because of that. And it was such joy. Then we go over to my father's side, and it was just my father was an only child. He had a cousin who was also an only child. So, and he had two kids, his cousin. But these two girls, they were just Kim and Stacy. Those are the real names. Kim and Stacy, they were just better than everybody else. Now, I was actually good friends with Stacy, but as an adult, I'm looking back and I'm like, holy geez, just the minefield that I grew up around. But it was joy going to these Christmas Eves. I just loved it. And today, I think there's just none of that. There's just none. I don't, and I there's a dullness in our life. I've even seen things on Instagram a few times, and I think this is right. The color has been taken out of our life. Just the way that, even if you look at buildings, the way that even they used to build churches and beautiful buildings, and there'd be all this architecture. I mean, think of Russia as an example. I know we've never done that here, but think of the architecture there, how beautiful that is, what that would make you feel if you were walking around a city like that, compared to most cities around here that are just industrial gray skyscrapers, ugly brick apartment buildings. What's happened to our world? There's just, I don't know. And I question whether we ever actually had this world, that it was just all a delusion. Because in the last year of waking up, and in particular, the last 2 or 3 months or so, and now with these Epstein files out, and I'm not even one of these people that are digging deep into it, just what I know is so revolting and terrifying. It makes you aware that absolutely and this is shocking to say, because even though I've always been, I at any point in my life, I would have told you that I believed in God. So I always believed in God. But now there's a knowing I didn't have before. And in a way, it's like you have to be impressed with Satan. Look what he has done with our world. He has just, with what he worked with what he had, because the whole world is blind. Just most of the world is just blind. And I think the tip of the iceberg that I'm starting to peel back is nothing. I can't even I joke around with my fiance Joe. I was like, where are we going to be next year at this time? We are literally going to be sitting around with tinfoil hats on. But it's terrifying to think that the world is nothing like I thought it was. I believe we are truly run by a bunch of elites who are truly satanic. I used to tell you, and I still tell you, I believe that this is true, that narcissists are demonic, that they have demons within them. I think that when I was into narcissism, don't get me wrong, that's still outrageously horrific. That's what I thought was the evil in this world. Now, of course, I wasn't that basic, but that's what I thought was real evil. I had no idea that the mother lode was above that, and that's really what's controlling our world. COVID, what the heck was that? Today, now, when you hear about some of the realities of the people behind these vaccines, what's really happening, it's absolutely terrifying. And what I really advise people to do, and this is a good thing to do anyways, is I don't want to freak people out, but prepare that we could have something happen, and make sure that you are prepared, that you have things that you need. Joe and we're trying to do that now because I feel like we have some time. But things are just ramping up. You don't know. I mean, even COVID, I can remember one day before I realized what was really happening with COVID, I was driving and I remember I called the kids and I was like, you know what, I'm going to stop by the grocery store just to grab a few things. And to my shock, when I pulled into the grocery store, it was like Christmas Eve and they were giving away free everything. The parking lot was packed. I couldn't believe it. And so I went into the store and I'm just throwing stuff in my cart. I remember spending $400 on groceries, and at the time, $400 was a lot. Nowadays, with the expense of everything, $400 is nothing. But I remember $400. It was so much money, and I was throwing just waters, anything I could, into the cart because I was terrified. And I wished so much that I had had stuff at home already. So always, I really think it's a good idea in general, but particularly with the way that things are, to begin to start getting some type of supplies, like good supplies, not just a few cans. But if you have to start there, start there. What I would recommend is that you get at least, I was gonna say, begin to start look at it for like a month, what you would need for a month. Like I got a bunch of those military meals. I know they're not the greatest thing, but at least I would know we would have something. And water is a fear because if the power goes out, we could lose access to our water. We will lose access to our water, especially if there's some evil intent or some type, who knows what could happen. Make sure you have water. But of course, you can't store tons and tons of water. And I've heard people say before, well, water is a difficult thing because if you have to evacuate, you're going to have to leave the water behind because it's too heavy. But definitely have some water. Hope that you don't have to evacuate. But what I got actually on Amazon, there's some type of, I don't know if they're called life straws or these straws that you can filter stuff out. Now, granted, I wouldn't want to be drinking out of a puddle, but in a worst case scenario, at least you could have something like that because you'd want to be so careful with anything that you drink or any type of emergency. Who knows what's going on, especially if there's some type of evil intent. And I feel like every day we are under attack. When I leave my house, just literally about every day on my way to work, I see above me these planes spraying like we're cockroaches down below here. So we're getting this all the time. So you got to be careful about that coming down. And then God knows what else bacteria is around. So have some type of something to filter water. Also, you know what I got? And this is a great little thing. You get this on Amazon. I think I paid like $10 for it. It was very inexpensive. It's a little campfire stove. It's really small, and you can burn these little circular pellet things. So at least you could boil water. So yeah, get some cans. Try to make sure that your car is always full of gas, or at least you have half a tank. I also have stored up on some stuff like bleach, cleaning products, medications, pet food. And I know it can seem overwhelming. That's why I'm saying start now and do a little bit at a time. Even if every single time you went grocery shopping, you were like, all right, you know what, I'm going to add $10 more on. I'm going to buy whatever it is, some canned goods, some pasta, something like that. And I know it's a pain because then you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to eat this stuff. So you do have to be aware of the expiration dates. I know you guys know all this stuff. Also, try to make sure that you have cash and other things that you might want in an emergency. And if it really went bad, I don't smoke, but I have cigarettes at my house because in a worst case scenario, I would have some cigarettes. People would want that. Imagine if you smoke cigarettes and everything went down, maybe you could trade something for that. So cigarettes, even like little nip bottles, stuff like that is really good to have on hand. If you can get silver, I think silver and gold, the prices have really gone up. Silver used to be somewhat inexpensive, but anything real, don't forget to have stuff that you can barter with as well. Weapons, and also keep all this stuff hidden. Don't advertise that you're doing anything like this, because if something really bad happened, you would be forced to turn people away. You don't want people to know you have anything at all. So I would also, if you have, even like it's hard to get a generator in a bad situation like this because it goes outside, so people would steal it or know that you have the generator. But if you have any light in your house, make sure to black out your windows, put blankets up, whatever you have to do. And that's another thing that's a good thing to have for an emergency. I wished I had this. We had a snowstorm recently. We didn't lose power, but I was really a little bit panicked because I was afraid we were going to lose power in the middle of the winter and we would be freezing at night. So those, I think they're like almost like tinfoil, these little blankets that you can wrap around yourself that will help keep in heat. So stuff like that is really important. But just my point is, begin to prepare. If it's true that we are actually slaves, I mean, can remember like I can remember in school and learning about slavery and how horrible it was. And now I think we actually may be slaves but not realize it. So I don't know, but whatever that's worth, I felt like, from my Friday video is really kind of whatever I want to talk about. And this has been on my mind. And I feel just make sure that you're good with God. Get good with God. Don't be afraid. God says in the Bible 365 times, right? I believe that this is accurate. One for every day of the year. Do not be afraid. But make sure that you start to prepare. It's almost like with a narcissist. At one point, I was hoarding cash and doing everything I could to try to set myself up because I knew he was going to fail me. I knew he was going to fail me, and he had left me without money before. Wasn't able to feed my kids. I literally had, it's another story, but $25 to feed my children. So I was never going to be put in that position again. I feel like that now. I feel like now is the time. Don't be scared, but start to prepare. Be aware that everybody that says that they're good people might not be. And if you have to evacuate, do not go to a government building. So this is all I have to say for today. I hope everybody has a great weekend. I'll see you guys on my shorts later, and I'll talk to you guys on Tuesday, Tales from the Narc. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video. If you're still listening, you definitely need to subscribe. Please do. I'd appreciate it. I'm trying to grow the channel to 20,000 by June 1st, and you can help me reach my goal. I hope everybody has the best day. Bye.